In the court, my mother cried until her makeup was all gone. Judge, my daughter's monthly salary is tens of thousands, but she refuses to spend 20,000 yuan to support her biological sister. She is just a white-eyed wolf. There were whispers in the gallery. My dad was sitting at the plaintiff's table, wearing a suit and leather shoes, looking like a loving father. They remarried 5 years ago and gave birth to their youngest daughter, Lin Nuo. Now that Nuo is 5 years old and both of them are unemployed, they actually took advantage of me. 20,000 per month. Raising a sister who has no affection for me. Defendant, what do you have to say? The judge looked at me. I stood up. Judge, I would like to ask the plaintiff a question. Speaking. I turned to look at my parents. My voice was not loud, but everyone in the court heard clearly. You want me to pay 20,000 yuan a month to support my sister. Then I want to ask, you left me at the train station when I was 8 years old. Who provided the money to support me? The whole place fell silent. My mother's crying stopped suddenly. My dad's face froze. Even the judge was stunned for 2 seconds. I am 8 years old, and you are getting divorced. No one wants me. My grandma picked me up from the train station. My grandma helped me through college by picking up scraps. Her last words before she died were, Nuo, don't hate your parents. I smiled a little. I don't hate it. I just find it funny. Back then you thought I was a loser, but now you think I can make money? Someone in the gallery whispered, this is too much. I don't know if it's me or them. My mother suddenly rushed over and grabbed my hand. Xiaozi, my mother couldn't do anything back then. Mom knows she was wrong now. Nuo is your biological sister. You can't bear to look at her. I pulled my hand back. Miss Chen Fong, please go back to your seat. I called her by her full name. The look on her face was an unexpected message. It's not guilt. It's not guilt. It's hate. A flash of hatred. My dad's lawyer stood up at this time. Judge, according to Article 1075 of the Civil Code, older siblings who are able to afford it have the obligation to support their underage siblings whose parents have died or whose parents are unable to support them. The plaintiff has submitted evidence to prove that both of them are unemployed and unable to raise their young daughter. As the eldest sister, the defendant has real estate and a company in her name and is fully capable of supporting her. He spoke fluently and was clearly well prepared. My lawyer Su Mian stood up. President, we have objections to the evidence of inability to support submitted by the plaintiff. Plaintiff Lin Guoqiang owns an Audi A6 purchased in 2023 with a market value of approximately 350,000. Plaintiff Chen Fong owns a commercial house located in Binjiang Garden with an area of 120 square meters and a market value of approximately 2.8 million. Excuse me, is this called unable to support? There was another discussion in the auditorium. My dad's face changed. That was bought with a loan. Loans are also assets. Su Mian pushed up his glasses. What's more, the plaintiff just traveled to Sanya for 5 days last month. He stayed in a Seaview suite and spent 6,000 per person. She handed the judge a screenshot of her phone. This is a photo posted by the plaintiff Chen Fong on WeChat Moments. My mother rushed over and took a look. That's a treat from friends. Which friend? Su Mian asked. My mother opened her mouth but didn't say anything. Presiding judge, we believe that the plaintiff is not unable to support, but is unwilling to assume the responsibility for raising children and is trying to shift the burden to the defendant. Su Mian opened the folder. At the same time, we will submit a piece of evidence. 22 years ago, when the plaintiff Lin Guoqiang and Chen Fong agreed to divorce, both parties clearly stated that they would give up the custody rights to their eldest daughter Lin Chaoxi. The defendant has been raised by his grandmother alone since he was 8 years old, and the plaintiff has not paid a penny in child support. 22 years. Not a penny. Su Mian's voice was calm, but every word sounded like a nail. The judge looked through the materials with a serious expression. My dad's lawyer wanted to say something, but the judge raised his hand and stopped him. Plaintiff, do you have any objection to these pieces of evidence presented by the defendant? Silence. My dad lowered his head. My mother started crying again. Crying louder this time. Judge, we just don't have money, and our little daughter is still so young. Why can't the eldest daughter help if she has the ability? She makes so much money. Why should she give her sister 20,000 yuan? She was crying and suddenly pointed at me. You just hold a grudge. You just hate us. It's great that you have money, right? If you have money, you can deny your parents. I said nothing. I've seen this kind of scene too many times. From when I squatted at the train station for 3 days, to when none of them came to my grandma's funeral, and then last year, when they suddenly came to my door. Every time, it's the same script. First cry, then scold, and finally moral kidnapping. The judge banged his gavel. This case will be pronounced at a later date. Garden. I carried my bag and walked out. There was someone waiting for me at the entrance of the court. A 5-year-old girl with 2 pigtails was holding the hand of an aunt in her 40s. Nuo. She saw me and blinked. Are you a sister? I stopped. I don't know that aunt. She must be the nanny hired by my parents. Mom said you were my sister. Nuo raised her head. Mom said you don't like me. I knelt down and looked at her. She looks like my mother, with a round face and big eyes. What's your name? I asked. Lin Nuo. Nuo, have you had breakfast? She shook her head. Auntie said we can wait until Mom comes out to eat. I stood up and glanced at the nanny. The nanny was a little panicked. Well, Miss Lin, they asked me to wait here with the child. I took out my phone and ordered a takeout from a nearby fast food restaurant. A children's meal. When someone brings food later, let her eat first. I stuffed my phone back into my pocket, turned around, and left. Behind him, a Nuo voice came. Goodbye, sister. I didn't look back. After getting in the car, Sue Mian sat in the passenger seat. The odds are good, she said. I know. There's no way they can win. It's legally untenable. I know too. Then what are you thinking about? I start the car. I'm thinking the kid didn't even eat breakfast, so they took her to the courthouse and waited. What are you waiting for? Waiting for me to see the kid relent. Sue Mian didn't answer. Chen Fong can do it by using a 5-year-old child as a bargaining chip. Don't be angry. I'm not angry. I'm not angry. I just feel like these parents haven't changed at all. 22 years later, nothing has changed. I returned to the company, and the front desk told me that someone was waiting for me in the conference room. Who? A gentleman, without an appointment, said he was a member of your family. Family members. I pushed open the conference room door. A man in his 40s sat inside, wearing a washed white jacket and with messy hair. Not my dad. It's my uncle. Chen Fong's younger brother, Chen Hao. I've had no more than 3 interactions with this guy. Nothing good happens every time. Xiaoxi, uncle comes to see you. He was smiling, but his eyes were looking at the decoration of my office. You have something to say. Look at you, kid. It's not enough for your uncle to come see you dash. Chen Hao, I'm not familiar with you, so you don't have to pretend. His smile faded. Okay, then I'll tell you straight. Your mother asked me to come. Stop making trouble about the lawsuit. 20,000 yuan is a drop in the bucket for you. No. Xiaoxi, listen to your uncle Dash. First of all, you are not my uncle. The day my mother gives up custody, your Chen family has nothing to do with me. Second, it's not your turn to control how I spend my money. Third, how did you come into my company? Didn't the security guard stop you? He couldn't help but laugh at what I said. How do you talk as a child? Your mother gave birth to you and raised you. Give birth, not raise. You go out. I pressed the intercom. Front desk, please ask security to send people away from the conference room. Chen Hao stood up and pointed at me. Don't be so heartless. Your mother said that if you don't give me money, she will expose you online. She will accuse you of being unfilial. Casual. Security has arrived. When Chen Hao was asked to leave, he cursed in the corridor. Just wait and see. Just wait and see. I closed the door. Sue Mian sent a WeChat message. Their lawyer contacted me privately and asked if they could settle out of court. I replied with 2 words, Discord. This matter must go through legal procedures. I want a verdict. Tell them in black and white you are not qualified. When I got home in the evening, I cooked a bowl of noodles by myself. The TV was on, but I wasn't watching. There is a missed call on the phone. My dad beat me. Didn't answer. Another WeChat message popped up. Chen Fong, Xiaoxi, Mom knows I'm sorry for you. You have been sensible since you were a child, Mom, please. I stared at this message for a long time. Deleted. Do you think I'm sensible? I was forced to be sensible at the age of 8. It's not because I'm born sensible. It's because no one gave me a chance to be a child. Early the next morning, I opened Weibo. Hot search number 17. A 30-year-old sister was sued by her biological parents for refusing to raise her 5-year-old sister. The picture below is a photo of the entrance of the court. Someone photographed my face. The comment section has exploded. Isn't this sister too cold-blooded? She doesn't even care about her own sister? It's only 20,000 yuan, so what if I give it to you? What qualifications does this kind of person have to make money? He doesn't even want family ties. My sister is dressed so well, and my sister hasn't even eaten breakfast. The contrast is too strong. There are more than 3,000 comments, and most of them criticize me. I scrolled to the bottom, and someone posted a picture. It was the scene at the entrance of the court where Nunuo pulled me. Caption: I feel sorry for my sister. The shooting angle is from behind me. They only photographed me standing indifferently, and Nunuo looked up at me pitifully. I wasn't photographed ordering takeout for her. I put the phone down. Sue Mian's call came. See. They let it out. The angle at the entrance of the court cannot be photographed by ordinary passersby. I guess so. What are you going to do? No way. But public opinion. Sue Mian, I don't rely on word of mouth to make a living. What do you rely on? Rely on your ability. I hung up the phone, washed my face, and went out. When we got downstairs from the company, there were 3 people blocking the door. 2 held up mobile phones, and 1 held the microphone. Self-media reporter. Are you Lin Chaoxi? May I ask why you refused to raise your biological sister? Ms. Lin, your parents said that your monthly salary exceeds 50,000 yuan. Is that true? I glanced at them. Get out of the way. Ms. Lin, please give the public a response. Response to what? Your parents say you're ungrateful. What favor did you forget? The reporter was stunned for a moment. What's the righteousness of being negative? I looked directly into the camera. I was abandoned at the train station when I was 8. I relied on scholarships to study at the age of 12. I slept 4 hours a day during a work-study program at the age of 18. I started a business at the age of 22 and owed a debt of 300,000 yuan. Where are my parents in the middle of this? Who will answer this question? Several reporters looked at each other. I pushed them away and walked into the company. Someone chased him 2 steps behind. Security stopped them. At 10 o'clock in the morning, the call came from the partner. He is Mr. Zhou of Benhai Real Estate. Chaoxi, those things on the internet. Will it affect cooperation? I can't say it has an impact, it's just there's some discussion among the board of directors. When will the contract be signed? It was originally scheduled for next Wednesday. Postponed. He hesitated. Let's put it aside for now. Let's talk about it later when this matter is over. Hang up the phone. I stared at the contract cover for 3 seconds. This project was discussed for 2 months. Because of a hot search, I put aside. In the afternoon, the assistant knocked on the door and came in. Mr. Lin, someone is holding a banner downstairs in the company. What banner? Unfilial daughter Lin Xiaoxi, please return my hard-earned money. I walked to the window and looked down. My dad was standing downstairs, holding a red banner. Next to me was my uncle Chun Hao and 2 people I didn't know. Passers-by were watching and taking photos. I took out my phone and dialed a number. Officer Wang, I'm Lin Haoxi. Someone gathered to cause trouble downstairs in my company, which affected our business. Yes, there is surveillance at the door. Okay, I'll wait. 20 minutes later, the police came. Clear people away. But photos of the banner have been posted online. The label of unfilial daughter was slapped on my head. In the evening, I worked overtime as usual. The phone vibrated. A WeChat friend request sent from an unknown number. The verification message reads, I am your dad's friend and want to chat with you. Didn't pass. Here comes another one. Verification information. Your mother said that if you don't agree to the settlement, she will tell you everything that happened when you were a child. I was stunned for a moment. What happened when you were a kid? Which thing? I suddenly remembered something that I had sealed away for many years. When I was 10 years old, my grandma took me to my dad to ask for child support. My dad was living with another woman at the time. The woman pushed me out the door. I fell on the stairs and got a cut on my forehead. Grandma rushed up to argue with her, but my dad beat her out of the house. Grandma's hand was pinched by the door and one of her fingers was severed. Later we went to the police station to call the police. But I don't know why, but the matter fell through. Now they threaten me with things from my childhood. Do they think I'm afraid of old wounds being opened? I replied to sue me on with a message. Help me check if the record of calling the police at the police station when I was 10 years old is still there. What's wrong? They want to fight a public opinion war, and I will accompany them. The next day, things were more serious than I thought. A blogger with 3 million followers posted a video with the title, My sister with an annual salary of 1 million watches helplessly as her 5-year-old sister goes hungry. The video uses photos of the court entrance and pictures of the banner incident, accompanied by sensational music and narration. The comment section is one-sided. Is it important to have money? My dear sister, 5 years old, can you bear it? This kind of person deserves to die alone. If I were her sister, I wouldn't recognize her as a sister when I grow up. I saw a comment on my Weibo with over 10,000 likes. If a person doesn't even care about his own sister, then no matter how much money she makes, she is not worthy of being a human being. I closed Weibo. Sue Mian called. Did you watch that video? Looked at it. That blogger has been checked and has contact with your uncle Chun Hao. Chun Hao's relatives work in that blogger's company. Expected. Xiaoxi, you have to fight back. It's not yet time. When will it arrive? Wait until they play all their cards. In the afternoon, the law firm sent a message. The court gave the opportunity for mediation. Next Tuesday, both parties will be present. I agreed. Not trying to mediate. I want to see what other tricks they have. Tuesday. The court's mediation room. My father and mother are both here. No, Noah didn't come this time. My dad had a new suit and looked much more energetic than last time. My mother also wore full makeup, with dark circles under her eyes, as if she was ready to cry at any moment. The mediator is a female judge in her 40s. Lin Xiaoxi, your parents want you to bear 10,000 yuan a month in support for your sister, which is half the previous 20,000 yuan. Do you think about it? I looked at my dad. 10,000. Error 500, server error. 1,500, that's an error. There was an error. Please try again later, that's all we know. Then have you sold your Audi A6? What? Have you sold your 350,000 car? That's my car. What does this have to do with Dash? It does matter. You said you can't raise your children, but you drive a car worth 350,000 yuan. How do you want the judge to sentence you? My dad blushed for a while. My mother took over. Xiaozi, please don't worry about such trivial matters. Mom, please tell me from the bottom of my heart, you are my sister. Chunfang. I interrupted her. The last time you came to the court, you made Noah wait at the door hungry, just to take pictures and post them online? No, we dash. Then who took those photos in front of the court? She stopped talking. Who arranged that video of a blogger with 3 million fans? My dad didn't say anything either. The mediator frowned. I turned on my phone and pulled out a recording. This is what my uncle Chun Hao said when he came to my company last week. I pressed play. Chun Hao's voice came out. Your mother said that if you don't give me money, she will expose you on the internet. She will say that you are unfilial. The mediation room was quiet. Mediator, this is called parental helplessness. They have a house, a car, and the ability to travel, but they want me to pay 10,000 yuan a month. If you don't give it, you will pour dirty water on the internet and hire someone to make a video to create public opinion. This is not called mediation. This is called blackmail. I stood up. That's it for mediation. See you in court. When I walked out of the mediation room, my mother chased me out. Lin Xiaoxi. Her cry disappeared and her voice became cold. Don't toast me and you'll be fined if you don't eat. I looked back at her. You know what I have in my hands. She said every word. You say. Your grandma's will. My heart skipped a beat. Grandma's will. My grandma left me something before she passed away. Not money, not housing. It's a letter. I still remember the content of the letter. But Grandma said that in addition to the letter, there was also a will. That will is stored in one place. Will. My voice did not change. Your grandma left you the old house in her name, right? It was an old house in a village in the city. It's shabby, about 30 square meters. But the will has a prerequisite. My mother's voice was very low. Your grandma wrote, if Chaoshi does not assume the responsibility of raising his younger siblings, this house will be inherited by his son Lin Guoqiang. I was stunned. I never knew about this. The will my grandma left for me actually has such a clause in it? Don't believe it? My mother took out a piece of paper and waved it in front of me. Notary's seal. I saw Grandma's name. Mediation is polite. If it goes to court, I will submit this will as evidence. When the time comes, not only will you have to pay alimony, but that old house will no longer be yours. My mother turned and left. Leave me standing in the corridor. Su Mian came over and saw my expression. What's wrong? Trouble. When I got back to the car, I told the story. After Su Mian listened, he was silent for a few seconds. If the will is true, it's really troublesome. How much is that old house worth? Urban Village? If the policy doesn't change now, it won't be worth much money. Then what are they planning? You still don't understand? Su Mian looked at me. The village in the city needs to be demolished. I reacted immediately. There have been rumors of demolition in that urban village for 2 years. If it is really demolished, the 30 square meter old house will be worth at least 2 to 3 million according to the compensation policy. What they want is not 20,000 yuan in child support. It was the house they wanted. I tightened my grip on the steering wheel. Su Mian, help me check the date when the will was notarized and which notary office it was done at. Do you suspect it's false? My grandma is an old lady who picks up scraps. She can't read. You can also notarize orally even if you're illiterate. Yes, but my grandma was in the hospital before she died. When did she go to the notary office? Su Mian's expression changed. I'll check. At 8 o'clock in the evening, Su Mian called. Chaoshi found. Explain. The notarization date was October 12th, 4 years ago. October 12th, 4 years ago. That day, Grandma was doing dialysis in the hospital. I stayed with her all day. She never left the hospital that day. What else? The notary office is in the south of the city. It takes 40 minutes to drive from the hospital to there. Where's Grandma's hospitalization record that day? I have sent people to the hospital for transfer. If the hospitalization records can prove that your grandma did not leave the hospital that day, that will dash. It's just fake. I mean every word. Chen Fong forged my grandma's will. Su Mian paused. If confirmed, this is not just a civil matter. Forgery of notarized documents is suspected of committing a crime. I took a deep breath and leaned back in my chair. This is their trump card. A fake will. An elaborate trap. They thought I would be afraid, compromise, and pay the money obediently. Su Mian. Exist. Don't alert the enemy. Let them take this will to court. You mean? I'm going to wait until the day of court, in front of the judge, in front of everyone. Let them submit the forged evidence themselves. Then expose it with your own hands. Su Mian smiled on the other end of the phone. You are just like your grandma. You look gentle, but you are very hard at heart. Hang up the phone. I opened the refrigerator, and it was empty. I cooked another bowl of noodles. Halfway through the meal, there was a knock on the door. I walked over and looked out through the peephole. There was a man standing outside the door, tall and thin, wearing a dark coat. Jiangyu City. I sighed and opened the door. Have you eaten? He was carrying a thermal bag. Eating. He glanced down at the instant noodles in my hand. Without saying anything, he walked directly into the kitchen. Braised pork ribs, stir-fried vegetables, and a bowl of seaweed and egg drop soup. He puts them all on the table. You don't have to give it every time. I just happened to be passing by. Your family lives in the east of the city, and my family lives in the west of the city. That's why I came here specially. I looked at the dishes on the table and said nothing. Jiang Yuqing is my college classmate. He chased me for 5 years, and I rejected him for 5 years. It's not that he is bad. I don't want to drag anyone down. He sat across from me and watched me eat. I read those things on the internet. I picked up a piece of ribs and didn't answer. What do you need me to do? Unnecessary. You're always like this. What kind? I carry everything myself. I put down my chopsticks. Jiangyu City, I'm not carrying it. I'm used to it. When I was 8 years old, I sat alone at the train station for 3 days with no one to help me. What happened next? Then I walked back to Grandma's house by myself. He said no more. After a moment of silence, he stood up and put away the bowl. On the day of the trial, I will accompany you. Need not. I didn't ask you if you wanted it. I said I would go. He washed the dishes, wiped the stove, and went out with a thermal bag. He said something before leaving. Eat less instant noodles. The door is closed. The next day, the company had a problem. Not only did Mr. Zhou shelve the Binhai real estate project, he also found my competitor. My assistant Xiao Su showed me the phone. Mr. Lin, Hongdao Media posted a photo with Binhai real estate on Moments. A photo of Mr. Zhou shaking hands with their general manager. Hongdao Media, my old rival. The boss's name is Qian Ziyuan, who is best at taking advantage of other situations. When did he hit on Mr. Zhou? Just the past 2 days. It is said that someone sent your information to Mr. Zhou's wife. Mrs. Zhou said that she did not want to have anything to do with the company that the unfilial daughter worked with. This line is so coincidental. Let's find out who gave the news to Mrs. Zhou. Xiao, Sue went to check. Come back in the afternoon. Mr. Lin, Mrs. Zhou, and Chun Hao's wife are members of the same yoga studio. Chun Hao's wife. It's Chun Hao again. From top to bottom, everyone in this family is plotting against me. I smiled a little. Good. Since the business world is also going to be disrupted, don't blame me for being unkind. I dialed a number. Old Zhao helped me make an appointment with someone. Who? Qian Ziyuan. What do you want to do? Invite him to a meal. 3 days later, we made an appointment at a private restaurant in the city center. Qian Ziyuan is here. He is in his early 40s, slightly fat, smiling, and looks like a businessman. Chao Shi, it's rare for you to invite me. Why, are you worried about the Benhai project? I poured him a cup of tea. Did you accept the Benhai project? Hey, I came to you on my own initiative, so I can't refuse. Brother Zion, let me tell you the truth. Don't touch that project. He put down his teacup. Why? Because there's a problem with Benhai Real Estate's accounts. His expression changed. Mr. Zhou's Benhai Real Estate appears to be 2 buildings in the first and second phases, but in fact the land in the third phase has been taken. But there is not enough money, and the capital chain may be broken at any time. How do you know so clearly? Because it was my team that helped him do the due diligence from the beginning. Benhai doesn't know that I've seen these data. Qian Ziyuan stared at me. So you're not in a hurry? I'm not in a hurry. If you accept it, you can jump into this trap yourself. He hesitated. Then can you show me the data? Yes, but there is a condition. What conditions? If anyone uses my personal affairs as a bargaining chip to cooperate with you in the future, you have to tell me who it is. He thought for a moment and stretched out his hand. Make a deal. I fist bumped with him. After leaving the restaurant, I received a phone call. Unknown number. Lin Chaoshi. Who? I'm Shuji. Don't you remember me? Hi to Shiba. This name is like a needle sticking into the deepest memory. Wang Xiuji. Grandma's only friend during her lifetime. Grandma Wang, who lives in the alley next to our house, sells tofu. Grandma Xiuji? You still remember me. The voice on the other end of the phone was much older. I saw what happened online. If your grandma were still here, she would be heartbroken. I said nothing. Girl, there's something I haven't told you. Your mother came to see your grandma 1 month before she left. My fingers tightened slightly. What are you doing here? Your mother brought someone with her. He was wearing a suit. He looked like a lawyer or something. They asked your grandma to put her fingerprint on a document. Grandma was confused at that time and couldn't see anything clearly. I heard your grandma next door shouting, I won't sign, I won't sign. When they came out later, your mother looked very ugly. My nails dug into my palms. Grandma Shioji, do you remember what day it is? I can't remember exactly. It seemed to be early October. Early October. Date of notarization of the will, October 12th. In other words, Chen Fong first came to Grandma to have her fingerprints pressed, but Grandma refused. Then she went to the notary herself and forged a will. Grandma Shioji, can you say what you said again in court? There was silence on the other end of the phone for a while. Girl, I am 78 years old this year. If I can help you, I am worthy of your grandma. Okay, I'll make the arrangements. Hang up the phone. I stood on the side of the road and watched the cars go by. Chen Fong, you took advantage of your grandma's serious illness to force her to do her fingerprints. She refused. You just made a fake will yourself. For a shabby house. For millions of demolition funds. You tore off the last dignity of a dying old man. I won't let you go. 1 week before trial, I received a notice from the court that the plaintiff added an additional piece of evidence. A notarized will. The content is just as Jin Fong said that day. If Lin Chaoshi does not assume the responsibility of raising his younger siblings, the old house will be inherited by Lin Guqiang. They handed it in. Good. Su Mian asked me, are you ready? The difference is the same. What? Hospital records. It has been transferred. On October 12th, your grandma was undergoing dialysis in the hospital. She has admission records, nurse rounds, and medication records. There is no way she would show up at the notary office that day. One more thing. Grandma Shioji. I nodded. Wang Shioji's testimony, the hospital's hospitalization records, and the entry and exit registration at the notary office. 3 lines of cross-corroboration. Forgery of notarized documents is punishable by up to 3 years in prison according to Article 280 of the criminal law. Su Mian closed the folder. Chaoshi, I want to ask you one last time. She is your mother after all. I looked out the window. Su Mian, she doesn't deserve this title. The day of the trial, there were many people outside the court. Self-media reporters, onlookers, and several bloggers who had scolded me online before. I wore a black suit. Not on purpose. The day my grandma left, I also wore black. The atmosphere in the court was much more tense than last time. My father and mother were sitting in the plaintiff's seat. My mother dressed very plainly, didn't take care of her hair, and looked like a miserable person. My dad lowered his head, not knowing what he was thinking. Their lawyer was in high spirits, flipping through thick folders. President, the plaintiff will submit a key piece of evidence. The lawyer stood up and took out the notarized will. This is a notarized will made by the defendant's grandmother during her lifetime. It clearly states that if the defendant does not bear the obligation to support his younger siblings, the property under his name will be inherited by his son Lin Guqiang. This shows that even the defendant's grandmother believes that the defendant should bear the responsibility of raising his younger siblings. It can be seen that the defendant's behavior not only violated legal obligations, but also violated his grandmother's wishes. It's a high-sounding statement. There were people in the auditorium whispering to each other. The judge flipped through the will, looked at it for a while, and asked me, "Defendant, what do you think of this evidence?" I stood up. "President, we question the authenticity of this will." The lawyer opposite smiled. "This is a notarized will issued by a notary office and is legally binding. What is the basis for the defendant's challenge?" Sue Mion stood up. "There are 3 bases for this." She opened the folder. First, the notarization date was October 12th, 4 years ago. On that day, the testator, the defendant's grandmother Lin Yuzhen, was receiving hemodialysis treatment at the Municipal First People's Hospital. She handed the judge the hospitalization records. This is a hospitalization record issued by the hospital, including admission registration, nurse patrol record, and dialysis treatment order. The record shows that Lin Yuzhen was in the hospital from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. that day. The address of the notary office is in the south of the city, a 40-minute drive from the hospital. The notarization records show that the time for making the will was 10 a.m. that day. Excuse me, how can an old man who is undergoing dialysis show up at the notary office 40 minutes away at the same time? The court fell silent. My mother's expression was panicked for a moment. She quickly lowered her head and began to take out tissues. Second piece of evidence. We found the testator's neighbor and witness, Wang Xiuji. In the auditorium, an old lady with gray hair stood up with the help of an assistant. Mr. Wang Xiuji can prove that about 10 days before the notarization date, that is, in early October, the plaintiff Chen Fong took an unidentified man to the testator's home and asked him to put his fingerprint on the document. The testator expressly refused at the time. "Grandma Wang, please tell me what happened that day." Sue Mion looked at her. Wang Xiuji stood a little shaky. "About 3 o'clock that afternoon, I was peeling edamame in the house. I heard Yuzhen shouting from next door. 'I won't sign, I won't sign.' I went out to look and saw a man in a suit and Yuzhen's daughter-in-law coming out of her house. That daughter-in-law is her." Wang Xiuji pointed at Chen Fong. All eyes were on the plaintiff's bench. Chen Fong's hands were shaking. "You're talking nonsense." She stood up suddenly. "I haven't been there." The judge banged his gavel. "Plaintiff, please maintain order." Sue Mion didn't stop. The third piece of evidence. We have obtained the day's entry and exit registration and monitoring records from the notary office. She handed over another document. The visit registration at the notary office on that day shows that the signature of the client who handled the notarization is Chen Fong. It's not the testator Lin Yuzhen. In other words, Chen Fong unilaterally went to the notary office to process the will as the client. According to Article 26 of the notarization law, the testator must be present in person for notarization of a will. Others are not allowed to apply on his behalf. This will, from the procedures to the facts, everything is invalid. No one in the courtroom spoke. Even the whispers in the gallery stopped. My mother stood in the plaintiff's seat, her face white and red. My dad's mouth was open, as if he wanted to say something, but didn't know what to say. Their lawyer flipped through the papers in his hands, sweat breaking out on his forehead. The judge closed the document and looked at the plaintiff. "Plaintiff Chen Fong, what is your explanation for the 3 questions raised by the defendant?" Chen Fong said nothing. Tears welled up in her eyes. I don't know. That document was given by the notary office. You just said you have never been to the testator's home." The judge interrupted her. "But the entry and exit registration at the notary office is signed by your name. Which of these 2 statements is true?" Chen Fong opened her mouth. Presiding judge, Sue Mion spoke again. "If this will is proven to be a forgery, the plaintiff is suspected of forging a notarized document, which is a crime stipulated in Article 280 of the criminal law. We reserve the right to pursue criminal liability." When these words came out, my mother's body visibly trembled. "I didn't forge it," she cried. "That's what your mother-in-law meant. She said it herself. But she was doing dialysis in the hospital that day." The judge said calmly, "There's no way she's going to show up at the notary's office." My mother suddenly slumped down in her chair. The court fell into a long silence. My dad finally spoke then. "Judge, I don't know about these things. She did it all by herself and has nothing to do with me." Chen Fong suddenly turned her head to look at him. "Lin Guoqiang, what do you mean?" "You said at the beginning that this will was stable and notarized, which made me feel at ease." "Shut up. You asked me to come to court to sue my daughter, and now you say it has nothing to do with you?" The 2 men quarreled in the plaintiff's seat. The judge banged his gavel 3 times. "Quiet." I sat in the dock without saying a word. Watch them blame each other, and blame each other. Just like 22 years ago. They were like that back then. In the divorce court, they scolded each other, pushed each other, and no one wanted the 8-year-old daughter. I watched them like this when I was 8 years old. 30 years old, and they're still like this. The judge adjourned the case. In view of the major doubts in the will evidence submitted by the plaintiff, this case will be further investigated and a date will be set for judgment. When the court was dismissed, the people in the gallery looked at me differently. When they came, many people came with the mentality of, look at this unfilial daughter. When I left, no one looked at me like that anymore. At the entrance of the court, several self-media reporters gathered around, but the questions they asked were completely different from last time. "Ms. Lin, your mother is suspected of forging a will. How do you feel?" "Ms. Lin, do you plan to pursue criminal responsibility?" I didn't answer. Sue Mion blocked the sentence for me. Everything awaits the court's decision. After getting in the car, I leaned on the seat and closed my eyes for a while. The phone vibrated. Jungyu City's WeChat. I'll wait for you in the parking lot. I glanced out the window. His car was parked 2 rows behind me. I didn't reply and started the car. As he passed him, he rolled down the window. Didn't say anything, just looked at me. There was no sympathy or pity in that look. There is only a very calm, I am meaning. I nodded and drove away. That night, the blogger with 3 million followers deleted the previous video. The direction of the comments section completely changed. It turns out her mother is the cruelest one. Forging a will to trick his own daughter. Is this kind of person really his mother? The people who scolded her before owe her an apology. Poor sister, she was abandoned at the age of 8. Sue Mion forwarded a few messages to me. Public opinion has reversed. Unimportant. What's important? Judgment. 3 days later, the district criminal investigation team intervened. Chun Fong was summoned on suspicion of forging notarized documents. My dad can't run away either. Although he said he didn't know anything about it, his figure appeared in the surveillance of the notary office. He was there that day. 2 people went together. After the news spread, Chun Hao couldn't sit still. He called me several times, but I didn't answer. Finally, he went directly to Sue Mion. Lawyer, please help me to intercede. My sister is just confused. You guys are so arrogant, Dash. Sue Mion forwarded his original words to me. I only replied with one word. No. A week later, a judgment has been issued in the civil case. All claims of the plaintiff are dismissed. The reasons are clearly written. The plaintiff owns a house, a car, and spending power, so it does not fall into the category of unable to support. The defendant had no legal support obligation, and the plaintiff's petition had no legal basis. At the same time, the will evidence submitted by the plaintiff was suspected of forgery and has been handed over to the public security organs for processing. The day I got the verdict, I sat in the car and watched it for a long time. Black and white. Exactly what I originally wanted. Sue Mion was sitting in the passenger seat. Are you happy? Not happy. Why? Because this was never supposed to happen. If they hadn't abandoned me back then, if they came to Grandma's funeral, if they didn't forge a will, if they treat me as a human being, I'm willing to give anything. It doesn't matter if it's 20,000 or 100,000. But they chose the ugliest way. Let's go. I started the car. The criminal case is progressing very quickly. Chun Fong was officially arrested. My dad was temporarily released on bail pending trial because he was present, but did not directly operate. As soon as the news came out, Chun Hao came to me with his entire family. Not here to apologize. They came to scold me. More than a dozen people blocked the downstairs of our company. Lin Chaoshi, doesn't your conscience hurt if you let your mother go to jail? That's your mother. Are you sending her to jail? People like you will have no descendants sooner or later. I stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling window and looked down. Xiao Su Ba Ni. Mr. Lin, do you want to call the police? Wait a moment. I took out my phone and started the live broadcast. The camera is facing downstairs. Then I said something to the camera. Hello, netizens. My name is Lin Chaoshi. These people downstairs are relatives of my mother Chun Fong. My mother abandoned me when I was 8 years old and hasn't paid a penny in child support for 22 years. Now she was arrested by the public security organs in accordance with the law for forging my grandma's will and trying to appropriate the demolished property. And her family members think that I shouldn't defend my rights, but that I should endure it because she is my mother. I want to ask everyone a question. If you were dumped at a train station when you were 8 years old, should you still be grateful to that person when you grow up? The small live broadcast window pops up comments like crazy. It shouldn't be. Sister, it's too difficult for you. Why should the victim forgive? Support your rights protection. Those people downstairs noticed that I was live broadcasting and they started to